Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me call to order this pre-commission meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission for Tuesday, May the 19th. We've already had a roll call and have a full complement of commissioners still on the call, and we're most appreciative of that. And as we said earlier, this is being broadcast live, www.facebook.com/Macon-Bibb County. Or at the website www.Macon-Bibb.us if you need to tune in there. The pre-commission meeting has a couple of announcements that I wanted to get to. I think Michael McNeil is on the line and going to give us an update on Governor Kemp's latest executive orders. Michael, are you there, and can you give us the update on the governor's latest executive orders?
Yes, sir. So Governor Kemp issued 2 executive orders on the 12th, last week, Tuesday the 12th in the afternoon after our committee meetings. The first one relates to his previous order suspending the road test requirement for new driver's license applicants. And he clarified that that suspension was only a temporary suspension through the end of September. So anyone, y'all may have seen some news stories about, these thousands of teenagers getting driver's licenses without having to do the road tests. Well, now under this new order, it clarifies that before September 30th, they have to actually go back and complete the road test so that they can prove they're competent to drive in order to be allowed to stay on the road. The second order from last Tuesday was an update of the longer order that he had done a couple of weeks ago that he's been calling Reviving a Healthy Georgia. This one from last week was about 30 pages long and generally updates the same kind of provisions that he had from a couple of weeks before that relating to reopening of restaurants, movie theaters, bowling alleys, etc. But slightly relaxing most of those requirements for the different industries. For example, for restaurants, the number of people in a restaurant was relaxed from 10 people per 500 square feet to 10 people per 300 square feet. Party sizes are allowed to go from 6 people to 10 people. So just little incremental steps like that. Same for just general industry. There was some relaxing for like hair salons can open their waiting rooms back up. Movie theaters and bowling alleys can open their arcade rooms back up. Things like that. The 2 major differences, one, the Department of Human Resources Administration for the Georgia Department of Administrative Services was directed to issue some guidelines for the reopening of state government offices and for the return of telework for state offices. So if you have any business with any of the state agencies, then that is expected to open up imminently. And any of those guidelines might be useful for any other industries in the public that are looking at opening back up as well. The other major component that was new was concerning allowing summer camps to take place and their provisions for ways in which people can operate summer camps take account of COVID protections and things like that.
So
I think the one thing that everybody wants to know is when can groups of more than 10 people get together, commission meetings? When can we have commission meetings where we have a crowd of people assembled in chambers, Michael?
Yes, sir. So the current order that I just went over goes through the end of the month of May, goes through May 30th. And that relates to all groups of 10 or more in public. And then the general shelter in place order for certain high-risk individuals, people over the age of 65 or with certain health conditions, that remains through June 12th. And so specifically as to commission meetings, June 12th is still the date that expires, but that remains to be seen as far as whether the governor is going to extend further or make any further changes.
As I have indicated in the past, though, I think that the June 12th, since we have several members of commission that have medical conditions that cause them to be careful, we're still contemplating the first live meeting in chambers as being June the 16th, Tuesday, June the 16th at this point. Since the June the 12th is after the June 9th meeting. Certainly the 16th is what we're currently proposing to be the first live meeting. Other questions of commissioners of Michael? I see Commissioner Jones with a question. Commissioner Jones? Uh-oh, we're gonna have to get you unmuted, Commissioner.
Hear me now?
Okay. Yep, got you now.
As one of those commissioners who had health issues and is now better than ever and totally healthy, I am very much in favor of meeting sooner live in person. And we could certainly do that, keeping space by having tables down in the floor of the chamber like we did when the state legislators met with us, but we could be further apart. So I, for one, am all for meeting as soon as practically possible, not waiting till June, whatever the date you said, June 19th, is that what you said?
16th.
16th.
So I'm for meeting, I'm for going ahead and meeting. My health issues are resolved. Yes, I have the age, but I'm out every day somewhere. We can open safely and function safely like all of us are doing individually, I think, in our daily lives. Then I'm all for that.
We'll certainly take that into consideration and see what we can do and keep you closely posted. Other questions from commissioners of
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins, go ahead.
You mentioned summer camps. Not completely sold on the idea of completely zeroing out summer camps. Could you give me a little more background on the governor's summer camp provision?
My information, and I really ought to call on Dr. Moffitt and see if he can, but my information is that they have had a lot of parents to express concern about the conditions and what we're going to do and not do, and they've only 34, I think, was the number that I last heard that had signed up for summer recreation, whereas usually at this point in time there are a lot more than that. So, Dr. Moffitt.
Yes, sir.
You actually asking about the governor's provision, but I am interested in your thought process.
Well, let's go back to Michael then. And Michael, can you give us any more detail about the governor's order and day camps or overnight camps or what summer camps? I guess would be a better way to ask the question.
So the summer camps, it's in the section of the order called Education and Children. He allows child care facilities to increase from 10 students to 20 at a time, as long as they maintain appropriate staff to child ratios. They have to still do symptom checks for children that are coming in, and only the children can come in. That it's still a contactless drop off and pick up. There is a CDC summer camps guideline that is expected to be issued before the end of May, but that has not yet been published as of a week ago. I haven't checked back on the CDC website to see if they've issued their guidelines yet, but they've announced that they're drafting them, and the governor has adopted them pre-publication by reference. The summer camps are not allowed to do any overnight stays unless expressly permitted by the State Department of Public Health. And then there's a list of 33 preventative measures that are required for any summer camps. The list of 20 measures that are required for non-critical infrastructure operations. In general, these are symptom screening, sanitization procedures, limiting camp groups to 20 per group, limiting contact between groups and participants. For example, some summer camps might typically break the groups out into different sessions and have teachers that rotate between different groups. They're supposed to stay with one group now for the entire session. Providing personal protective equipment to workers and campers is available. And once overnight camps are allowed, assuming the CDC permits those in circumstances, then to the extent possible, the camp has to have either a registered nurse or licensed practical nurse on premise at the camp overnight with the children also.
I think I get it. Thank you for that, Michael. So, and I'm understanding correctly. Y'all heard those provisions and guidelines and decided not to do camp at all.
No, sir. We did an analysis of where we were. We had concerns from some of the employees about their safety. We had concerns about how do we properly social distance the kids inside for the camps. We had concerns about the number that signed up. And more importantly, we had positions posted for our part-time workers for the camps. And we had a very low number of applicants for those positions for the summer. So taking all those considerations, we thought it was best that we would continue with postponing the recreation activities for the summer. We'd already made the decision not to do the pools because of concerns about how do you social distance at a pool. So we went ahead and that is our recommendation.
So do you have any proposed alternatives that we're going to provide our youth with some type of enrichment or just the streets?
No, sir. We hope it, to use your streets, that we're hoping that some of the local organizations that can operate on a much smaller level, such as churches and other neighborhood organizations, can possibly assist in that manner. But again, we looked at a number of things such as employee safety, children's safety, how you social distance in our building, because our programs are full programs. All those things were taken into consideration.
Any other questions of Michael about the governor's order?
I do. Are we planning to do? Is the tennis function gonna operate? And also, is the what's the thing? The water park? Are they gonna function during the summer?
As far as county operations, tennis, bounding, all our parks, Tobo, Amerson, all those parks will remain open. As far as the water park, it is my understanding that they are still planning to open, but they are watching the governor's instructions very closely for that final determination.
Well, if we can't open the pools, how are we gonna allow a water park to open? And how do we justify allowing folks to play tennis close to each other when we aren't gonna be able to provide for children this summer? And I'm fully supportive of not having the programs in the rec centers this summer for the children. I just think it's too dangerous. That's the reason the schools are in limbo.
That's the main difference. You're correct. That is the main difference. One is an outdoor activity and one is indoor activity. So the outdoor activities we're proposing to remain because in the outdoors they are spaced out. Just like at Bowden, you have one person to a golf cart. Just like at the tennis, one person on each side of the court. So that is that major difference there in outdoor activities versus the children being inside the building in a very enclosed environment. The sheer, you're absolutely correct. There's a huge difference in those activities.
I don't see that we ought to allow any of it to take place, because I think there's too much. We're building in danger, I think, in the tennis and all of it. And if we're gonna allow tennis, we ought to certainly allow children to have some structured activities in these rec centers. But I'm not in favor of having any of it, because you're gonna have charges of us with disparate treatment of different groups of folks if we allow that.
I
I
understand
hope
Michael.
you're able to explain it, because I'm not gonna try.
Right. I understand Michael has got another comment about the governor's order. Michael?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to mention that there's a there's a resolution on for referral tonight to be considered by committees next week relating to Lake Tobosoffke, and that at Commissioner Allen's request, we've invited the proprietor of the Sandy Beach Water Park to come to committees next week. So if Commissioner Lucas, you have any questions for Sandy Beach Water Park about what their plans are or whatever, he'll be available. He's been invited to come next week, so he should be available
For what?
to talk about this other resolution that Commissioner Allen has proposed relating to the fees at Lake Toba.
That'll be on the agenda for referral later tonight. That's all the announcements that I'm aware of. We do have a couple of pieces of new business, or specifically 1.5, I guess. I understand that Harold Spear's appointment to the Construction Appeals Board, that Mr. Spear was supposed to call in tonight. Is Mr. Spear on the line?
I am here.
Oh, how wonderful. That's great, Mr. Spear. Commissioner Lucas, why don't I turn this over to you? This was in your,
I
this was
think
in
it was
facilities.
in facilities.
It was in facilities and
Commissioner
engineering. So that's
Jones.
Chairman Jones.
Do you also have Ms. Stafford? Is she gonna be?
She was on the line last week.
Did we? Okay, is she an alternate or a regular member?
She's alternate those two.
Why is she an? Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman Jones,
I'm
do you want to have any inquiry of Mr. Spear? He was kind enough to call in today. Mr. Spear, thank you very much for being willing to serve on this Construction Appeals Board, and then for being with us tonight, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
Yeah. What?
Okay, you asked me. Yeah, I would just like to thank Mr. Harold Spear for being willing to serve. He's very qualified to be in this capacity, and we appreciate him being willing to serve on this Construction Board of Appeals.
Question. Are we in the committee of the whole?
We are. Well, yes, but I was trying to let Chairman Jones, if they had any lingering questions from Facilities and Engineering, or if any other commissioner had a question of Mr. Spear.
I don't have any questions. Does anyone else have any that's on the committee or either on the commission at all? Do they have any questions for Mr. Spear?
Hearing none, my recollection is that he was a motion and second to approve him, subject to his being available to talk to us tonight. And so, if there are no other questions, Ms. Smith, thank you so much again for your willingness to serve and for being with us tonight. You're welcome to stay. It's a public meeting, but if you want to leave, you're certainly entitled to.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spear.
I need to make a note real quick. Hey, this is Rachel managing the Zoom call. Someone has their audio up and it's creating an echo. So if you've got your audio up and you're able to, if you could turn it down, thank you.
I turned mine down, and I don't know if it's mine. I may need to close my office door because Joe and Valerie are outside in the other room. So if it continues, I'll get up and close my office door.
Okay. Good.
So if I didn't echo, then it's not mine. I turned mine down. Okay.
No item is on the consent agenda. So we have one item of new business that we'll get to momentarily about applying for a gateway grant. Sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor. I wanted to untable the Dirt Road Entertainment liquor license and move forward in approving that. I thought that was going to be in committee of the whole.
I second it.
I understand Michael has been in communication with the attorney for Dirt Road Entertainment, and they wanted to be present at any further discussion of this, and we didn't make arrangements for them to be with us tonight. Michael, can you add anything to that?
Yes, sir. They've requested that the commission stay consideration for 30 days on that license.
I spoke with the attorney on yesterday, and they wanted us to move forward on it. That they said you had requested that they stay 30 days. No. And so there is an ordinance that Michael and I talked about on Friday that Commissioner Allen, Lucas, and Watkins were going to co-sponsor to be in line with the state order. So there's been a motion and second to move forward with that, Mr. Mayor. I called a motion, well, Mr. Watkins seconded.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so we got a motion to take this off the table tonight.
Correct.
And a second by Commissioner Watkins. So all in favor of taking this off the table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
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 I don't know what the count was.
I think it was 7. I think it was 7-2. I had Commissioner Jones and Wynn. So I would say 7-2. So the ayes have it.
Correct.
It's off the table at this point. Commissioner Bibb, I see your hand up, sir.
Unmute.
He needs to unmute.
Unmute.
Yeah, you got to unmute yourself. It's a button at the top of the screen.
He's got it.
Oh, never mind. Rachel unmuted you.
I voted no.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. So that would be 66-3. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for correcting me. 63, the ayes still have it, so it's off the table. Mayor Pro Tem, you want to lead us in that discussion then?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. There is a state law that says that anyone that applies for a license can receive a license if there is not a current conviction. And so I'd ask Michael to draw up that same resolution or ordinance so we could be on the same level as far as the state and just go ahead and move forward with this. I know other commissioners expressed that they would want to co-sponsor it. And Michael, he can just share some information as far as what I mean as far as how state law reads versus Macon-Bibb local ordinance.
Yes, sir. I got in contact with the Georgia Department of Revenue agent that has jurisdiction over Middle Georgia, and he advised that GDOR is only concerned with convictions, that they don't consider charges at all that are pending charges. And so that's the information I relayed to Commissioner Tillman.
And Michael, when will you, although we can approve this tonight, when will you have that ordinance or resolution in place? Because I don't want to speak for the other commissioners, but I think Commissioner Lucas and Allen wanted to co-sponsor that, so we all can be on the same level, because sometimes we know that state law supersedes ours, but we just want to be fair to the citizens so we can all be on the same level of ordinances here.
I've started drafting your ordinance, and I should have it for the next cycle for if I'm not sure what committee it would go to, but if the committee chair would allow it for Tuesday, I believe I can have a draft done this week and get it on the agenda for Tuesday. Otherwise, it would be referred in the meeting 2 weeks from now.
Michael, I had a question. I thought there was some problem with failing to report the charges as a condition of the other alcohol license that this applicant already has in place.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that's absolutely right. Under our current code, she had a duty to report these charges as soon as she was arrested, and that didn't happen. She renewed her license and did not report the charges that were pending at the time she renewed. And so I have some strong concerns about moving forward with approving the license while our code still remains as saying that she's not entitled to a license under the current state of our code. I would defer to the commission if they want to change the code. We can change the code, and then if she qualifies under the code as revised, that it would be appropriate to grant it that. But I have some concerns with approving an application in violation of our current code, just because of the precedential value and because of kind of the circumstances of the matter.
Any other commissioner want to be heard on this?
I wanted to ask a question. Are there currently charges against this person?
Yes, ma'am. I spoke with the district attorney's office, and she was arrested in April, and the charges remain pending. She has not been indicted, but she's been arrested. The charges remain pending. And my understanding from the DA's office is that they don't have any current intention of dismissing the charges. That's as of about a week ago.
Okay, well, I mean, but you lawyers tell me where that places the person. If they're charged, they're not convicted. People sitting in jail can vote because they're not convicted of anything. So where
Michael,
are we on this?
yeah, Michael, let me ask you a question so everybody's on the same page before they consider either approving or disapproving these licenses. To Commissioner Lucas's point, is there anything in either our alcohol license or state law that would categorically prevent the approval of this alcohol or these alcohol licenses based upon criminal charges? In other words, is a criminal charge without indictment an automatic disqualifier or not?
Give me just a moment to look at the code. The charge.
I think that's what you're asking,
a duty to report. Right. The charge triggers a duty to report, regardless of conviction, and the conviction is an automatic disqualifier, both under state and local law. And if you give me just a moment, I can look at the other requirements. I was working on this just before the meeting started.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. But I will say for Commissioner Lucas, she's out on bond right now, and so she's in the community, and the statute of limitations is 4 years. So the DA's office has 4 years from the date of her arrest to get in front of a grand jury and indict her. And once that happens, then it goes into the pre-trial and trial process, and that can take another year or longer.
But to clarify, there's two different things you're talking about. One is a criminal or is an arrest at this stage an automatic disqualifier? And that sounds like the answer to that is no. They could.
Question.
Let me, Commissioner, if you just
Yeah.
one second. Is that true?
So what the code says is that the commission has to weigh the public interest as it relates to activities which have occurred on the licensed premises or by the applicant. And that includes anything that would be a crime under the laws of the state of Georgia or the laws of Macon-Bibb County, anything that occurred at a licensed premises. And we've used these, for example, with the place on Montpelier, the fact that things have occurred in the vicinity.
So the commission under the standard can take into consideration the fact that she's been arrested in whether or not to deny. They don't have to, it's not an automatic disqualifier. It's a factor in whether or not they approve or deny, at least her arrest. Is that correct?
Right. It's a factor that has to be weighed in terms of the public interest. but the
disqualifier you're talking about would be her failure to report
failure to report, right?
the criminal arrest on her application. That's what you're talking about as a disqualifier.
Right.
Okay. I'm
And-
trying to clarify for everybody the distinction he's making.
Yeah, and actually that was my question. Does that failure to report, is that a qualifier for not approving it?
Yeah, let me find that section. and I
It's
can-
up to the commission.
It's a clarification thing.
You're talking about somebody that's already in business and that's been out for 2 years. And so I think that the whole ordinance Michael was working on was to clarify that under state law, this does not disqualify anybody from having a license, anybody going forward. And that was the ordinance that he was supposed to be working on, so we can be in line with state law. So we can approve this pending our approval of that ordinance in 2 weeks.
So here's what the code says. This is section 438B about the self-reporting requirement. It says, failure to make reports required by this section shall itself be grounds for the taking of adverse action up to any, including revocation of any license or denial of any application for a license under this chapter, as the commission or its designee shall determine. So that's the wording of the code section. The only constraint within that is that the commission cannot act arbitrarily. And so to the extent that similar circumstances presented again in the future, this would be precedent. Basically, you have to treat similarly situated applicants in a similar way.
Any other questions of Michael or any other commission want to be heard on this? Commissioner Jones, got you now.
You're muted.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? You sound like you're way down in a barrel. Hear me okay?
I can now. I'm the one that had my mute button on. I'm sorry.
Hear you much better. Thank you. We have compelling reasons to deny this license. Number one, the sheriff recommended that we did not. We've had recommendations before by the sheriff that met all the qualifications in the past, and then we've had trouble spots or hot spots that Commissioner Watkins has pointed out or Commissioner Tillman has pointed out, and I understood that and agreed with that. But I am not in favor of approving this license because we have compelling reasons not to do so. Mainly, Sheriff Davis recommends that we do not approve it. So we have standing, we have reason to deny the license.
If I may.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Watkins?
I know when this conversation first started, I believe Attorney Mike McNeil mentioned that the Dirt Road ENT had requested they be present for any discussion in an official capacity. And it seems as though this turned in from being a simple thing, which I think Commissioner Tillman was thinking, to something that's a little more convoluted. So I'm gonna request that we table and give them a chance to be here to present whatever it is they want to present.
Commissioner Lucas makes a second to that motion, non-debatable. All in favor of putting it back on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
You don't, oh, well, I think the ayes have it. So
Ayes have it.
It's back on the table.
Obviously.
All right, so back on the table, that leaves one other item of new business that I'll get to right quick, and that is a gateway grant application. We wanted to file an application for a grant to beautify one of the gateways into the community. It's a $50,000 grant.
Which one?
And we selected the interstate interchange of I-75 in Pinona. So it's right down that Rocky Creek Road, Pinona, and where the interstate passes over it. That's one that we thought appropriate for beautification. It's a primary gateway into the community for a lot of people. So we wanted to apply for the grant, but the grant has to have an agreement, a willingness to enter into a maintenance agreement, because they don't want to plant plants that you're not going to water and grass that you're not going to mow and that kind of thing, and make things more difficult for the DOT. Michael, I hope I hadn't messed this up too bad. So can you take us from there and kind of tell us what the resolution is that we're voting on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me. And like the mayor said, the whole idea here is that GDOT is proposing, they're actually doing this kind of all over the state. But essentially the idea is that if given the grant, we have roughly about $50,000 to work with to beautify the area. I actually was able to work off of a proposal for the same area from about 5 or 6 years ago. Obviously, I wasn't here at that time, so I'm unfamiliar with that, but I kind of was basing my design off of that same design. But essentially, I kind of had to rework some things for it to be GDOT spec and things like that. There's certain trees that you have to plant. They want it to be native. They don't want you to be within so many feet of billboards and so on and so on. But essentially, the key part of this is that if awarded the grant, the county, Macon-Bibb, we would pay the installation cost, which is, right around $49,000 to $50,000. And then it's a reimbursement grant, which, again, if awarded the grant, GDOT would reimburse us, and we would obviously know that ahead of time before we, they would tell us we were awarded the grant, then we would go do the work, and, obviously they would reimburse us. But the key part of this is a long-term maintenance plan, which, like the mayor said, includes mowing, weed eating, trash pickup, spraying weeds when necessary and things like that. And essentially it's, to be able to get the grant, again, it's a key piece of it that we sign off on that, that it's a resolution that, all commissioners have to agree on. And again, I've got some proposals. I reached out to Brightview Landscape, which they maintain Mercer and I-75's interchange. And then I also reached out to Landmark that does the eBid. So, I mean, these are two companies that are very familiar with this type of work. That's kind of why I reached out to them. And the yearly maintenance cost is going to average anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000. So, again, and GDOT's kind of the one thing that I'm having trouble with this is I've called every office I know to call at GDOT and haven't been able to get a real answer when they say long-term maintenance. How long does that mean? And
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, and truthfully, and again, like Commissioner Lucas is saying, I actually had a deal similar to this when I was out at Middle Georgia State University, and it was for 50 years. But, I've also seen other examples of these types of grants that do last forever. So, I mean, it is like the mayor said, there's a lot of business going on down there. There's a lot of, new industry coming. I know there's a proposal to do the Broadway and Pinona roundabout, and there's some other, projects that are out there. Obviously, I'm not overly familiar with all of them. I've just heard the details, I guess. But, and this certainly would tie that area together. I know talking with Stephen Adams with the Industrial Authority, he was excited about it. And, there's a lot of recruitment and, business ventures that come through, and beautifying that part of the interstate would make a lot of sense for us. It's just the key part of it, again, is that long-term maintenance deal. And if that's something that we're willing to undertake.
Well, I for one would hope that we could impose on Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission to kind of step forward, help raise the money to take this on as a maintenance project. But yes, we need to stand behind it and guarantee the DOT that a maintenance agreement is going to be put in place. And that's a prerequisite for getting the grant. So I got Commissioner Wynn, then Commissioner Lucas.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question is, what do we know, Michael, and this is to Michael Glisson, what kind of proposal they're going to have? What are they going to put? Trees, bushes, plants? Or is it going to have to be something that's replanted? Or are we going to have to pay for that part of it? What kind of maintenance are we talking about? Just grass cutting or other types of maintenance? And the other thing is, I do want to say this in favor of this, is that interchange needs a lot of updating, and it looks bad. I mean, it looks bad if you know where we're talking about out there. It's not a good entrance to our city. But I do get concerned. I want to make sure, because we always talk about this. Commissioner Lucas talks about it a lot. Are we sure we're going to get the money back? if we expend this money. That's $50,000, and money is such an issue right now. I just want to make sure we're going to get it back. But what kind of things are we talking about doing out there?
Yes, ma'am. The plan is very simple. You know, you see some of this stuff up and down, 285 and areas like that in Atlanta that are really these big overdone landscapes, and that's certainly not what we're trying to do here. It's magnolias, some oak trees. It's basically just kind of ornamental trees and very low maintenance. I mean, it's essentially, pine strawing around the trees once a year, and then basically the rest of it's cutting grass and picking up trash. So, I mean, the plan itself is very simple, just crepe myrtles and things like that. Nothing overly elaborate. And regarding the will we get paid back? I mean, I'm assuming that once awarded the grant and everything goes through, I know this would probably be more of a question director for Michael McNeil, but I'm sure once everything's signed, I would really think that we would kind of have GDOT to, we have that. Yeah, they have to pay us back once everything's signed over. I mean, but again, I can't be overly sure about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lucas, did you have something?
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to see that we're applying for this again, because the beautification of the Mercer University was done with a grant of $50,000. I think the same kind of grant, and except for all the paper that people throw out sometimes when they come by there, Mercer maintains that. I believe they agreed to do it, and they do an excellent job of that. So I think if we could get a partner in there to adopt that one at Pine Honor. And years ago, when we were considering the other one at Mercer University Drive, I wanted it to be over at the Coliseum exit, but now that that work is going on over there, I'm sure it's really going to be nice once that'll be taken care of. So I support this, and you're able to they do reimburse, you get the money. So I'm happy to see this. Our entrance ways need work. You go to Savannah and drive even 16 going in, they've just done so much as far as welcoming you, making it look nice. And coming 75 down near the new mall, that little exit there looks really, really nice. And the rest of them need to look that way as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and you need to do video so we can see you.
I'm sorry. I tried to open it up and it wouldn't let me. Let's see if it doesn't work now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, and speaking to what Commissioner Lucas just touched on, Mercer, yes, they do pay for their interchange at Mercer and I-75, and Brightview Landscape is one of the companies that I, reached out to, and that is the same person, same group that maintains Mercer's landscape. So I mean, that was my goal, to kind of, approach companies that are already doing this type of work. But obviously, with it being over our $10,000 mark, we would have to bid this out.
All right. Michael McNeil had one more comment, I believe. Michael?
Yes, Mayor. I just want to clarify what the resolution, this is to apply for the grant. They haven't actually awarded the grant yet. And so if they award the grant, then as part of the award packet, they're going to send us the specific terms that they have for the maintenance agreement and what they're going to do for the intersection. So we're just at the application stage right now. I just want to clarify that.
Right.
Further discussion?
I did want to tell everybody, if y'all were interested, I can certainly send over a copy of this design, just to, that way you have something to look at.
Sure. Do that, but is there further discussion? And if not, I need a motion in a second, I think.
So moved.
Got a motion and second by Schlesinger and Lucas, is who I think I heard. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. That'll be on our agenda for tonight as item M under old business, the last item of old business. That's all of the new business I'm aware of. Duke, anything else from the attorney's office? If not, I'm gonna run through the agenda for tonight right quick. We're going to convene here shortly at 6 o'clock. The first item is approval of the minutes. They've been distributed to you from our pre-commission meeting of May the 5th and the regular commission meeting of May the 5th. I think we've got committee reports that have been done. Chairman Watkins, I assume you'll give the one for operations and finance. And Chairman Lucas, will you give economic and community development?
Yes.
Probably no report from public safety because we didn't have a meeting, but Chairman Jones, will you give facilities and engineering?
Yes, sir. If you've got some notes for me, Madam Clerk.
She says she's emailed them to you, so check your emails while we're waiting.
All right.
We got 15 minutes or so to get, and if in a pinch, she can always read off her notes for you. There's nothing on the consent agenda, so we'll go into old business. First item of old business is a resolution to nominate a slate of 3 to the Hospital Authority Board, from which the Hospital Authority will select one. The 3 applicants are John Hauser, Steve Kruger, and Eric Manson. The Economic and Community Development Committee heard that and recommends approval. Item B is a resolution appointing Warren Selby to post 1 to the Construction Appeals Board. Item C is the appointment of Bob Brown, Robert W. Brown, to the alternate post 1 position on the Construction Appeals Board. Item D is a resolution appointing Scott Pipkins to the post 2 of the Construction Appeals Board. Item E is the resolution appointing Keisha Stafford to the alternate post 2 position on the Construction Board of Appeals.
What
Item
is her
F.
area, Mayor? What is her area of expertise? What is her?
I know she
Keith
works
know?
with her father at Stafford Construction. And,
Yeah, I know, but she does more than just work.
Then that, hold on a minute. Let's see if I can't pull up her.
Michael has it.
Mr. Mayor, Michael spoke with her.
Michael's raising his hand.
Michael, I can't see you, but go ahead.
Yeah, she qualified under 3 of the different sets of qualifications. Post 1 as a general contractor, post 3, I believe, as supervising. Post 5 is fire safety, and then post 3 is structural, I believe. And she qualified under all 3 of those sets of qualifications. Oh, mechanical. Post 3 is mechanical.
Oh, did she?
Yes, ma'am.
And she's an alternate? I guess you have to be overly qualified to be an alternate.
She's alternate to post 2, but it's right up there, ranks pretty high with post 2.
Got three specialties.
Okay, all right. Point made. Next is a resolution appointing Krunal Patel to post 3 on the Construction Board of Appeals. And item G is appointment of Harold Spear to the Construction Board of Appeals. And item H, a resolution appointing Steve Scalco to post 5. And the Facilities and Engineering heard all of those and recommends that we approve. Item I is a resolution authorizing the mayor to approve a professional services agreement with Replay Systems Incorporated for the purchase and installation of an E911 voice recording system. $173,139 be paid from Capital Improvement Fund. A Operations and Finance Committee heard that and recommends approval. Item J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Middle Georgia Outdoor Lighting, Inc. for $213,080 for the installation of the Musco lights at Bloomfield Park. And item K is a companion resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with Musco Sports Lighting LLC in the amount of $484,000 for the installation of the lighting system, both of those at Bloomfield Park. And Operations and Finance recommends approval of both the lights and the installation. Item L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with North American Fire Equipment Company, NAFCO, in the amount of $47,136.25 for the purchase of V-Force fire protective gear to be paid from the general fund. Operations and Finance heard that and recommends approval. And then item M, we just did, that's the applying for the Gateway grant from the Georgia DOT. There are several items of new business that I'll read and refer. And since we've got just a few minutes, I'll run over them quickly. The first is an appointment to the Library Board of Trustees, Janice Habersham. I'm going to obviously refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. There's a resolution appointing Molly Wilkins to the Macon-Bibb County Pedestrian Safety Review Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item C under new business is a resolution to appoint Emily Hopkins to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. It used to be the Tree Commission, but we changed the name of it to the Tree Board. And we'll refer that to Economic and Community Development, along with item D, a resolution appointing Kimberly Pickens to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. That going to the Economic and Community Development as well. And then there's a third one, a resolution appointing Robert A. Sargent Jr. To the Tree Board, or refer that to Economic and Community Development. A resolution to appoint Alex Morrison to the Tree Board. So it sounds like we're populating the Tree Board. Refer that to Economic and Community Development. Ron Griffin, also to be appointed to the Tree Board. Refer that to Economic and Community Development. Item H is Jackie Harper, appointing her to the Tree Board. Item I is the appointment of Wayne Woodworth to the Tree Board. I'm going to refer all of those to the Economic and Community Development Committee. And then item J is an update and a resolution to rename Central City Park as Carolyn Creighton City Park in honor of Carolyn Creighton's contributions. That's got several co-sponsors, Schlesinger, Allen, Jones, and Wynn. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. I guess that's where we do most of our naming or renaming kind of things. The next is a series of quit claim deeds to Mercer University for the streets that we closed a couple of weeks ago. Chestnut Street Lane, and one other. We voted to close the right of way. Now we're actually selling it to Mercer University so they can incorporate it into their plans for these recreational fields over there. So the first item K is a resolution to execute a quit claim deed for the sale of property to Mercer totaling 0.05 acres at 1610 Chestnut Street for $4,060. Item L is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for 0.05 acres at 1620. That's so we got 1610, 1620 Chestnut Street for $4,400. Item M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for sale of property in Mercer for 0.06 acres at 905 Linden Avenue for $1,958. Then one to sell to Mercer University totaling 0.13 acres at 923 Linden Acres for $2,273. And then the one for selling them a portion of Dannenberg Avenue for the purpose of accommodating, and I don't see the amount associated with that one in the caption. And the final one is P, I think, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for the sale of property to Mercer University for a portion of Chestnut Street Lane. I'm going to refer, there are a couple, one more, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for the sale of property incorporated to Mercer, portion of Chestnut Street, purpose of a new development. I'm going to refer all of these to Facilities and Engineering Committee to look at. Then item R is a resolution authorizing the mayor to grant an encroachment totaling 1,033 square feet at property located at 945 Hazel Street to Historic Macon. Fair market value is $615.38. I'm gonna refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee as well. I think that's where Historic Macon is actually building 3 new houses over there on Hazel Street in Bells Hill. Item S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with Coldwell Banker to hire Stephanie Folsom to provide real estate broker services for us. I'm going to refer that to Facilities and Engineering Committee as well. Item T, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with FH Passion SN Nielsen and Associates LLC for the demolition services and installation of upgraded stainless steel kennels at the Macon-Bibb County Animal Shelter in the amount of $106,540 to be paid out of 2012 SPLOST funds for animal control contingencies line item. I'm going to refer that to Operations and Finance Committee. Item U is a resolution to establish new regulations governing the Lake Tobosoffke recreation areas related to camping fees, parking fees, and facility rental fees. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. So we've got a lot of work to do at our next committee meetings, and I'll try to read those one more time at the end of our regular meeting in case anybody tunes in late. But as always, stay tuned for more resolutions and ordinances to come down. Commissioner Bibbins, I see you got your hand up, sir.
Yeah, you got a question. I want to make sure I understand the status of the naming for Carolyn Creighton. What'd you say that was again?
There's a new resolution that is co-sponsored by several of the commissioners to rename Central City Park in honor of Carolyn Creighton.
Okay,
and
good.
I think the name is the Carolyn Creighton City Park is what I understand the proposed name to be.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understood. I want to make sure I understood that because I support that idea.
Good. Okay. And I suppose this probably takes the place of, and you withdraw perhaps the resolution to rename the 3rd Street Median Park. But you'll get to that in the committee meeting, I'm sure. Commissioner Lucas.
Yeah, I would just like to ask the chair of engineering if he would please have the documents that show us the stated value of those properties that are being sold and the amounts. Like those for Historic Macon, it's 3. You said it was 3. They're gonna build 3 houses and the property is $615. I'd like to see that.
Okay, my recollection is that's an encroachment into the street to kind of even up the street right away. So it's not the entire lot; it's just the encroachment to even it up with other lots along the street.
Okay, that's why the amounts.
Right, we'll get all that information
if
before.
you could just get that, that would be interesting to know how you arrive at these amounts. You know, of monies that people pay us.
Right.
So that would be interesting to see.
Okay. Yeah, it would.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask something just for my own information and knowledge? What is the tree board? We've got so many people. This is new to me. And I asked Commissioner Allen, and he wasn't aware of that. But what is it? We sound like we got enough people for each tree in Macon assigned to that board.
It's a form of Macon-Bibb County Tree Commission.
But what is that?
Right, but now it's the tree board, and we've kind of let it
languish.
Well, what is it? What does it do?
Okay, languish, and we hadn't made appointments to it. Shame on me.
What does it do?
I'll read you what it says. You want me to?
Please do. Yeah, that's great.
It's established by. And it's a new one on me too, so I'm reading it.
Thank you.
We're
all learning today.
It's established by the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances, created to, the entities will be included but not limited to studying the problem and determining the needs of Macon-Bibb County in connection with its tree planting, maintenance, removal programs, urban forestry management plan, consultation and assistance to the forester on any matter pertaining to Macon-Bibb County tree preservation, protection, replacement. So all
I-
related to trees.
I'm
That's the-
assuming this is on city property trees, right?
Bibb County, correct.
Just,
No,
I mean, when I
well,
put
well,
city
but
property or anybody's tree?
Overall.
No, I think they can make recommendations, you know,
They can
because they're
right.
concerned about tree canopy in general, but
Right.
I think they can make recommendations. But hey, tune in to the committee meeting.
We will. I will. I will be there.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, very good. If there's no other questions or comments on this, I'll close this meeting out and we'll transition over and start the regular
Just a
meeting.
comment.
Yes, sir. Commissioner
Just a
Watkins?
comment.
Oh, Commissioner Tillman, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, for those that know or remember Michael Ryan.
Yeah.
Then Michael Ryan used to be the chairman of the tree commission. And Michael Ryan is one of the biggest advocates in Macon-Bibb for trees. And so if you know Michael Ryan, that's what Michael Ryan does.
Okay.
Around here.
Well, glad to have that information. All right, anything else? If not, pre-commission meeting is adjourned.